I'm Ted Kidwell, and I've been the piano technician here at Sac State for almost 10 years. And I maintain a fleet of 76 pianos that are used for practice, for teaching, and for performance. Pianos go out of tune, and that's for two reasons. First of all, the impact of a hammer striking a string, which is stretched 6 or 7 feet long, puts it out of tune, not surprisingly. Also, changes of climate, even micro changes in climate, can cause the soundboard and the bridge to expand or contract. And unfortunately, they don't do it evenly. It'll distort in ways that will put the piano out of tune surprisingly rapidly. So for every performance that takes place here in Sac State, I tune the piano. Even if it were tuned earlier in the day, I'll still touch up that piano so that it's perfect for the performance. Absolutely my favorite thing to do is voicing, because that's when I'm doing the final step that brings out the life and the color and the sparkle of that piano. It's especially rewarding when I've rebuilt a piano. If I've spent 100 hours removing the plate, removing the strings, maybe replacing the soundboard, replacing the hammers, finishing the whole piano, refinishing the case, the final 20 minutes is addressing the strike point of that hammer, and it's only at that point that the piano comes to life. So the basic operation for tuning a piano is turning the tuning pins. And the strings of the piano are wrapped around the pins, and as I tighten the tuning pins, the pitch goes up, and as I loosen them, the pitch goes down. The reason it's a big job is that there are, on an average piano, 240 tuning pins, even though there are only 88 notes. And that's because most of the notes on the piano have 3 strings. So I have a mute that I use to mute off 2 of the strings, and then I can turn the tuning pin of the ringing string and change the pitch. What's challenging about tuning a piano is that you're actually detuning a piano. You're actually putting it out of tune in a way that we've all agreed is acceptable. That out of tuneness is called a temperament. So if you've heard the term temperament, it means a compromise on the tuning. So why do we do that? Let me demonstrate. I'm going to play F and A. Now you can hear that that's out of tune now. Doesn't sound very good. So I'll put it in tune. That sounds perfectly in tune now. But that A doesn't only function as the 3rd of F, it also functions as the 5th above D, and now listen. Totally unacceptable. So let me put that in tune. Now that sounds pretty good. Let's go back to the FA. It's not good. What do? I have to compromise. I have to go in the middle so that the FA and the DA are not in tune, but they're acceptable. That's what temperament is. So I've removed the fall board so that I can take out the action and show that to you. This is where the action is. 88 hammers, 88 keys. And as I depress the key, of course, the hammer rises, strikes the string, makes the sound. But it's not just a simple lever. You can see all this business here is required so that a great concert artist can play with nuance and fire and color. They have absolute control because of the wonderful action of a piano. What's interesting about that is that this modern piano action was developed in 1885, and it's never been improved. People have tried this and that, but if a piano technician from 1885 were time traveled to here today, he could work on this piano, he would be right at home. What other complicated machine has not changed in all that time, despite man's best effort to improve. Pretty amazing. I'm part of a great tradition of piano designers and technicians, and I'm proud of that. Earlier I talked about tuning the piano, which is changing the pitch so that the piano's in tune. But there's tune and then there's tone. I can change the tone of the piano as well, just like a singer can change their tone. Ah, ooh, ah. You can change the tone. How do we do that? Well, there are a number of things that can be done to the belly when it's being strung that change the tone. Of course, the design of the piano, the size of the piano, all of that affects the tone of the piano. But reasonably, what I can do is manipulate the hammers in various ways. Mostly it involves making them harder or softer. To make them harder, I can put on lacquer, or I can sand them down to get down to a more dense layer of felt. To make them softer, typically I use needles. And I'll come in at various depths and at various angles to manipulate and different parts of the hammer to change the sound of the hammer. There's not only one sound that a piano makes. In a well-voiced piano, you have different layers of felt that will create a different sound. So when you're playing softly, you get a fairly dark sound. But as you dig in, the sound should open up and become more brilliant. So that gives the pianist a bouquet of colors that they can use. So if a piano only has one trick, the pianist isn't going to like it. A great pianist wants to be a symphony orchestra and create many different colors, and a well-voiced piano will do that for them. Well, thank you very much for listening to my little overview of piano technology. I hope that you have gotten a sense of why I find piano so fascinating and why, after 25 years, I look forward every day to working on pianos. I hope to see you at the Sac State Piano Series. It's a wonderful opportunity to see world-class musicians in a small venue.